So what do you feel about all the controversy about this story, centering a lot on whether Britain should allow Russia Today to carry on broadcasting here?
It's just shocking. I mean, Ofcom, which regulates this programme, I know you cheered this programme had the biggest number of complaints.
Programme with
but,
Ofcom.
you know, RT has fewer breaches than BBC, ITN. And then Ofcom, the regulator, the statutory regulator, comes out with a statement which seems so politicised, saying the Prime Minister has said this, then another statement. I mean, this is ripping up the Magna Carta.
Are you Russian
breaking
yourself?
up. No, of course not.
Where are you from?
I was born in Cambridge, funnily enough. My father's an expert on Newton.
But are you a British citizen? Are you?
Yeah, I'm born here, aren't I? I mean, what do you mean?
No, I'm just because you work for Russia Today.
We have nearly 100 journalists working in a bureau here.
Yeah.
And let's not forget, RT is the biggest television station on the planet. I mean, it is the biggest on the biggest network, the internet. We have billions of viewers all around the world.
But what do you what do you say to people then who say that Russia Today is a mouthpiece for the Russian government, funded sort of not necessarily directly, but
it's funded by the Russian taxpayer,
and therefore the money is sort of under the control of Vladimir Putin, and you're a mouthpiece for the Kremlin.
We're under Ofcom regulation. We have fewer breaches than the BBC or ITN.
Okay, do you believe Putin did this?
Did what?
Directed this.
Do you believe he
attempted
assassination? Do you? I know that the Prime Minister says the Prime Minister says it's highly likely. That's not beyond reasonable doubt. I think most people around the world, and Britain's pretty isolated apart from NATO on this, I have to say. The whole of Latin America, Africa, I mean, Beijing, they're not with Britain on this. We don't know what the White House is that Putin would have been mad, wouldn't he, ahead of the World Cup, to possibly, at that big stage when Russia wants to look so good across the world.
You don't think Putin ordered this assassination
I don't know.
attempt?
You know, unlike arguably mainstream media, we question more. That's the motto of RT. And we have to question why on earth
do you think Putin's ever ordered the assassination?
We know, I don't know. We know Britain definitely orders assassinations. We know Britain orders assassinations.
Do you think Putin's ever killed anyone?
I mean, what does that mean? He's a KGB agent,
right,
isn't he?
So what do you think?
How do I know? We know that Britain...
You don't know very
Britain
much,
right now... Britain right now is...
You see my point, though? You work for Russia Today and you're not prepared to even accept the bleedingly obvious about Putin.
So you definitely know he killed someone?
Absolutely.
Right, fine. I mean, it's up to him to sue for defamation.
Right, sue me.
The problem is in this country...
My problem is you're basically... You are just a defender for Putin, aren't you? You just don't want to accept he's done anything. Because
I'm just
say, I don't know, but anything he's done.
I'm questioning your certainty. You know, and there was a lot of certainty about WMD getting us into a war. As you know very well, you were fired from the Mirror over that war. Greg Dyke and I was fired from the BBC over it. We know when a united House of Commons talks about WMD trying to get Britain into a war, this time with the nuclear power. What do you think the stakes are?
Well, the stakes are very high. There's no question, especially with people in Russia now making...
So why are you so certain?
Well, I'm certain that Vladimir Putin is a pretty bad guy. He's done some pretty bad things. He was a former KGB operative. We know that we've had a number of assassinations on Russian traitors on British soil and other soil.
He himself has said
they're going to kick the bucket. There's record of him saying it. My point is that where I think you're slightly compromised, if you don't mind me saying, is that because you work for Russia Today, a state-funded organisation, you have to be careful what you say about Putin.
Tell that to Larry King. No one from the Kremlin tells me what to do. No one ever has.
Right.
At the BBC, I have been. At GMTV, I was told what to do.
Right.
What are you talking about? This is the only station in this country where you're not told what to do.
Right.
And that's the point.
You're not prepared to say that you think Putin's even killed anyone.
I don't have the proof that you do. You, and I have to say, we had someone from Fairness and Accuracy in Reporting on our show recently saying the problem is journalism in this country, let alone the United States, is full of stenographers for power.
No, we don't kill journalists in this country like Russia, though, do we?
We don't kill journalists in this country.
Do you think Putin's ordered the assassination of journalists?
Well, why don't you cover the assassinations?
Journalists have been killed in large numbers in Russia.
It was terrible.
Who's killing them?
Absolutely appalling.
Who is responsible for that?
But how do you know definitely it's Putin?
But you don't think he's done anything?
He's the president of Russia. Of course, he's running a country where these things are happening.
So who's responsible?
He should take responsibility for
What's he done about the killing of these journalists, who were all, coincidentally, anti-Putin?
Journalists should always be questioning power all the time.
No, but it is believed that Vladimir Putin ordered the killing of numerous journalists who've been hostile to him and his regime. All right? Do you think that that's true?
But I'm not a court of law. I'm a journalist.
So you don't think it's true?
So unless you give me what did
Putin do about the deaths of those journalists?
I'm sure there were inquiries of a sort. What does Britain do about the assassination of its citizens by British government? What is it doing while it's threatening tens of millions of people in Yemen? The point is, we're not going to put Theresa May in prison for threatening tens of millions of people and putting the red carpet for the Saudis.
Okay, chaps.
We're not going to put Putin in prison for killing journalists.
Okay, chaps. My issue with this is, I admire you for coming in and taking the heat. It's not an easy time to be Russia Today, and you're not Russian, I accept that. But I think the way that you're answering these questions, I'm going to put it to these guys, the problem is if you work for Russia Today and you're state-sponsored by Vladimir Putin's Russia, then you obviously have to be very careful what you say about him. And this is the problem with airing Russia Today in this country going forward. If it transpires, as now is believed, Vladimir Putin ordered the assassination of this traitor on British soil.
Like, you don't have to be careful.
I wonder how much Russia Today has devoted to this story, and has it aired the allegation on Russia Today that Vladimir Putin is behind the assassination of that former spy?
It's leading every hour on those allegations. You saw the Overseas Development Secretary, former Overseas Development Secretary Andrew Mitchell, saying he appears on RT precisely so he can accuse Russia of atrocities in Syria.